The room smelled like old books and warm cedar. Professor Holden always kept his office window cracked open, even when the wind was sharp enough to bite. Alex liked that. It felt intentional, like the man refused to let the world be too comfortable around him. Alex adjusted his seat across the desk, aware of Holden's eyes lingering a little too long. "So," the professor said, rolling up the sleeves of his charcoal button-down, "you claim to understand Foucault now?" "I said I think I get it," Alex replied, flashing a half-grin. "Not that I'm ready to teach it." "Then prove it." Holden leaned back in his chair, a slow smirk teasing the corner of his lips. "Pop quiz. 5 questions. You get more than 2 wrong, you owe me." Alex raised an eyebrow. "Owe you what, exactly?" Holden's voice dropped half a register. "I'll decide that after you lose." There was a silence between them, thick enough to swim in. It wasn't the first time Holden had flirted this way, just enough to remain deniable. But there was something different now. The way his eyes locked onto Alex's mouth. The way his fingers tapped the table, rhythmic, calculated. Alex felt heat rising up his neck. He should have stopped it right there. But he didn't. "All right," he said, sitting up straighter. "Deal." The quiz wasn't hard, but Holden knew where to poke holes. Semantic traps, layered quote. Alex got the first 2 right. The third? A misstep. The fourth? A baited question designed to trip him. The fifth sealed it. 3 out of 5, Holden said with a mock frown. "You disappoint me." "Was it even fair?" Alex asked, trying to sound casual, though his heartbeat was pounding in his ears. "Fairness," Holden said, standing slowly, "is a bourgeois illusion." Alex laughed, trying not to imagine what Holden looked like under that shirt. He hated how often he found himself wondering things like that, especially when he had someone waiting at home. Jake, who cooked dinner most nights even after long shift. Who ran his hands through Alex's hair when he was stressed. Who never once looked at him like a game. Holden walked around the desk and leaned against the edge, arms crossed. "Come to my place tomorrow night." Alex blinked. "Your place? That's the debt. I'll text you the address." He hesitated. "And what happens there?" "You'll find out," Holden said smoothly. "Unless you're backing out of our deal." Alex stood. His legs felt a little unstable, but he masked it with a shrug. "Fine. Tomorrow." He walked out of the office into the chilled evening air, lungs expanding like he'd just surfaced from underwater. He should have said no. But his body had already decided before his mind caught up. Jake's apartment always smelled like cinnamon and detergent. Clean, warm, honest. Alex kicked off his shoes and found Jake on the couch, in sweats, one arm slung over the backrest. A Netflix menu glowed on the screen. "How was the study session?" Jake asked without looking up. Alex hesitated, then said, "Fine. Just Holden being Holden." Jake chuckled. "He still talk like he's auditioning for a noir film?" Alex smiled, relieved at the normalcy. "Worse. Today he quoted Foucault like it was dirty talk." Jake laughed. "Sounds exhausting." "It is," Alex replied. Then, without thinking, he leaned down and kissed Jake, soft, longer than usual. Jake pulled him down onto the couch. "Hey. That was unexpected." "I missed you," Alex whispered, and maybe he meant it more than he realized. They watched a movie. Jake drifted off halfway through, head on Alex's chest. Alex held him close, silently counting Jake's breaths. And all the while, his phone buzzed once. A message. "Unknown number, don't be late." Alex locked the screen without reading it again. But the weight of it settled across his chest like a second body. The next morning, he sat on the edge of the bed, towel slung around his waist, watching Jake shave in the mirror. "Going out tonight?" Jake asked, rinsing his blade. "Study group," Alex replied. "Might run late." Jake nodded. "I'll make pasta. There'll be leftovers." Alex wanted to say something. Anything. But he just kissed Jake's shoulder instead. That night, Alex stood outside Holden's building, fists clenched in his jacket pockets. He could still walk away. Could still text Jake something honest. Or even half-honest. But his fingers moved before he could stop them, buzzing the apartment. The door clicked open. A voice drifted down through the intercom. Top floor. Doors open. Alex stepped inside. Alex stepped into the top-floor apartment and immediately knew he was somewhere he shouldn't be. Holden's space was curated, walls lined with leather-bound books, ambient jazz playing low, and lighting so dim it was practically seductive. A single decanter of scotch sat on a tray like a prop. "Come in," Holden said from the kitchen, not looking up. He was pouring 2 glasses, sleeves rolled, collar open, as if he'd staged the entire scene for this exact moment. Alex hesitated near the doorway. "You didn't say what this was about." "I did," Holden said, handing him a glass. "You lost a bet." Alex didn't drink it. "This feels like more than that." "It is." Holden moved closer, close enough that Alex could smell the sandalwood on his skin. "But only if you let it be." That sentence sat heavy in the air, like an invitation with no obligation, yet one he already knew he would accept. "I have a boyfriend," Alex muttered, as if naming Jake could break the spell. Holden didn't flinch. "And yet you came." That truth stung more than it should have. They sat on the couch, drinks untouched. Silence expanded between them, not awkward, but electric. Holden shifted, just enough for their thighs to touch. "Let me guess. You tell yourself this doesn't mean anything if you don't initiate it?" Alex looked away. Holden's voice softened. "What if I dare you to just feel what you feel? No guilt. No explanations." It wasn't just flirtation anymore. It was temptation in its purest form, stripped of metaphor. Alex stood up, trying to breathe. "This is messed up." Holden stood too, slower. "Messed up doesn't mean wrong. Sometimes it just means real." Alex stared at him. His face, his mouth, his eyes. Nothing about Holden said love, but everything said hunger. Recognition. That unspoken knowing between 2 people who see through the layers. "Say stop," Holden said. "And I will." Alex didn't say anything. The first kiss wasn't gentle. It was a collision, teeth and breath and restraint crumbling. Holden gripped Alex's waist like he was anchoring him, pulling him into something deeper than just a touch. Alex responded before he could process, hands fisting into Holden's shirt, dragging him closer. It was a dare. It was a mistake. It was everything he thought he wouldn't do, until he did. They stumbled to the bedroom. The clothes came off slowly, reverently, like both were trying to memorize each other through motion. Holden wasn't rough. He was deliberate, skilled. Like he'd waited for this and wasn't going to waste it on haste. "You don't have to pretend you're in control," Holden whispered as he slid fingers across Alex's bare hip. "That's the beauty of tonight. You can just surrender." And Alex did. He gave in, not just physically, but emotionally, in that dangerous space where lust and longing blur. Where the body feels more honest than words ever could. It wasn't just sex. It was exposure. It was being seen and still desired. And for a moment it felt like freedom. Afterward, they lay tangled in the sheets, silence pressing against their skin. Holden traced a line down Alex's spine. "You're more alive now than when you walked in. Admit it." Alex said nothing, staring at the ceiling, guilt bleeding in like smoke under a locked door. Holden leaned in, lips near his ear. "Don't worry. Secrets are safe in this room." Alex sat up. "That's the problem. They shouldn't be." Holden's face hardened slightly, but he kept his tone smooth. "Then why did you make one?" There was no answer. At least, none that Alex could say out loud. He got dressed slowly, the silence now charged with regret. His limbs felt heavy. His skin still hummed with sensation, but his heart felt dull and hollow. "You're not like him, you know," Holden said as Alex pulled on his hoodie. Alex turned. "Like who?" "Jake. He plays safe. You don't. That's why you came here." Alex stared at him. You think this was about you? Holden smiled, tired and knowing. No. I think this was about you finally admitting what you want. Alex's jaw clenched. What I wanted was to feel something. That doesn't mean I'll like what comes after. Holden didn't argue. Just poured himself another drink and walked to the window. Alex left without saying goodbye. The air outside felt colder than it should have. The sky above was clear, but Alex felt like it should have been raining. That cliché, cinematic downpour to match the mess inside his chest. He walked home slowly, footsteps echoing down empty street. When he reached the apartment, the lights were off. Jake was asleep on the couch, still in his clothes, one hand resting on the pillow Alex usually used. Alex stood in the doorway and watched him for a moment, soft, peaceful, trusting. And suddenly, the weight of what he'd done crushed into his lungs. He slipped into the bedroom without waking him, lay down on the edge of the bed, facing the wall. Eyes open, heart thudding, skin still warm from someone else's touch. He didn't sleep. Alex hadn't touched Jake in 5 days. Not meaningfully. Not the way he used to, where his fingers would trail across Jake's back while brushing past, or where his kiss goodnight would linger just a second longer than necessary. Now everything was clip. Automatic. Measured like guilt was a rope wrapped tight around his chest. Jake noticed. He didn't say it right away, but it was in the way his brow furrowed when Alex turned away in bed. In how he paused before asking, "Are you okay?" as if already bracing for the lie. And Alex lied. "I'm just stressed," he said. "Finals, you know." But this wasn't about exams. It was about Holden's hand still ghosting over his body in memory. It was about the weight of the secret Alex couldn't unlive. That Friday Jake cooked again. He made buttered garlic pasta with grilled chicken, Alex's favorite. They ate in silence, forks clinking softly, the TV playing some reality show in the background. Halfway through, Jake asked, "Did you ever meet up with that study group?" Alex looked up too fast. "What?" Jake didn't repeat it. He just tilted his head, calmly, like he was observing something under a microscope. "You said you were going to meet up with a group Tuesday night," Jake said. "You didn't mention how it went." Alex's stomach twisted. "Yeah," he said, clearing his throat. "It was short. Not much happened." Jake nodded. "That's funny. I saw Professor Holden on campus today. He said you're getting better at surrendering." Alex froze. The fork slipped from his fingers and clattered onto the plate. Jake didn't blink. His words. Not mine. "I can explain," Alex said too quickly. "Please do." Alex opened his mouth, then closed it. There was no version of this that came out clean. Holden had made sure of that, had known, maybe even planned, that the moment would come and Alex would have nothing but ashes in his mouth. Jake pushed his plate away. "Tell me the truth." Alex felt it all cave in. The weight of the night, the sweat, the moans he hadn't been able to swallow. Holden's body pressed against his. Jake's name nowhere in his mind. "I slept with him," Alex whispered. "Once. The night I told you I had study group." Jake didn't speak. Just stared, wide-eyed, mouth slightly open. The silence that followed wasn't shock. It was a vacuum. "I didn't plan it," Alex rushed on. "It was a stupid bet, and then it escalated, and I kept telling myself it didn't mean anything." Jake stood, knocking the chair slightly askew. "I don't care if it meant anything," he said, voice low and trembling. "You let it happen, and then you came home and laid next to me." Alex's breath caught. "I'm sorry." Jake laughed, dry and bitter. "Sorry? Do you even know what you broke?" Alex stood too. I know I messed up, Jake." "Stop," Jake said sharply. "Just stop." He paced away, hands in his hair, chest heaving. "Do you love him?" "No," Alex said immediately. "I don't even know him like that." "Then why?" Jake asked. "Why him? Why throw us away for someone who doesn't matter?" Alex had no answer. Only a truth he hated to admit. "Because he saw something in me I couldn't ignore," Alex said. Because it felt like I was escaping from myself for a night. Jake's face crumpled. And I wasn't enough of an escape? Alex stepped forward. You are. You were. But I lost control. Jake looked him dead in the eyes. You didn't lose control. You made a choice. That silence again, sharp and final. I need time, Jake said. I don't want to see you right now. Alex nodded, throat burning. Where will you go? Jake grabbed his keys and slung a bag over his shoulder. Does it matter? Then he was gone. The apartment felt haunted. Every corner held a version of Jake, laughing in the kitchen, singing while folding laundry, curled up against Alex's chest after a long shift. Alex walked through it like a stranger. He sat on the bed but didn't lie down. He couldn't. The sheets still smelled like them together. His phone buzzed. One message. Holden, I assume the fallout's begun. Alex stared at the screen. The arrogance in that sentence. The cold awareness. He typed back. Don't text me again. Holden replied within seconds. Regret is part of the process. But you'll be back. Alex threw the phone across the room. The next day, he skipped class. He couldn't sit through Holden's lecture without vomiting rage or shame or both. Instead, he walked the city for hours, looping through parks and blocks, replaying everything. The kiss. The breathless surrender. Jake's voice cracking as he said, You made a choice. Alex hadn't cried the night of the betrayal. He cried now. Right there, on a bench, under a gray sky, alone in the middle of a crowd. When he got home that night, Jake hadn't returned. His toothbrush was gone. His pillow missing. Half the closet emptied. But one thing remained, Jake's favorite hoodie, still folded on the couch. Alex picked it up, held it to his face, and sank to the floor. It took Jake 4 days to respond. 4 days of silence. 4 days of Alex sitting in an apartment filled with shadows and the absence of a voice he used to know better than his own. On the 5th night, Alex heard the keys in the lock. He stood from the couch, heart jackhammering, uncertain whether to speak first or stay quiet. When the door opened, Jake stepped in without looking up, just crossed the threshold, removed his shoes, and placed a bag by the wall. No words. Just presence. I didn't think you'd come back, Alex finally said. Jake shrugged off his jacket, setting it over a chair. I didn't come back. I came to talk. Alex nodded, but the lump in his throat made it hard to breathe. Jake walked to the kitchen, opened the fridge, closed it again without grabbing anything. He leaned against the counter. You know, I keep wondering if there was something I missed, Jake said, voice low but steady. Some warning. Some clue. There wasn't, Alex said. This isn't about what you lacked. Then help me understand what he gave you that I couldn't. Alex flinched. Validation. Power. Maybe even danger. Jake blinked, absorbing that. So it was never about love. No, Alex admitted. It was about escape. About curiosity I never faced out loud. Jake's face was unreadable. And now, Alex said, taking a step forward, I feel the consequences like a second skin. Jake looked at him for a long moment, then walked past him and sat on the edge of the couch, the same spot he'd sat in when he last cooked, when things were still whole. I thought we were solid, Jake said. I thought we were the exception. So did I, Alex said quietly. And maybe that was part of the problem. Jake frowned. What do you mean? I got too comfortable, Alex said. I stopped questioning what I wanted. Then someone offered something raw, ugly, and thrilling. And instead of saying no, I said yes. You could have told me, Jake said. Before it got that far. Alex sat across from him. I didn't even tell myself. The silence after that was different, less sharp, more tired. Jake leaned back, exhaling. Do you still see him? Alex shook his head. No. I told him not to contact me. Jake looked down at his hands. Did it help? No, Alex said. Not even a little. Jake stood. I'm not here to make this easier for you, Alex. I don't know if I can forgive it, not yet. I'm not asking you to, Alex said. I just want to be honest now. Even if it ruins everything. Jake looked at him then, really looked. I loved you, he said. I still do. That's the part that makes me sick. Alex's chest cracked open at the sound of those words. I never stopped loving you, he said. Not even in that moment. I just stopped loving who I thought I was. Jake swallowed hard. That's a cruel excuse. It's not an excuse, Alex said. It's just the reason. They sat in silence for a while longer. The apartment buzzed faintly with the sound of a neighbor's TV through the walls. Finally, Jake stood. I'm staying with a friend. I'm not ready to come back. I understand, Alex said. But I don't want it to end here, Jake added, almost like a confession. Alex looked up. You don't. Jake shook his head. No. But if this has any future, we need to burn it all down and rebuild. No pretending this never happened. I wouldn't want to, Alex said. Jake turned toward the door. Then you'll need to show me, not just say it. I will. Jake looked over his shoulder. Don't tell me what you think I want to hear. Say what's real. Alex stood up slowly. I'm scared. I'm ashamed. And I miss you so much it physically hurts. Jake nodded once. Good. That's a start. Then he walked out again, quieter this time. No slammed doors. No finality. Just space. And maybe a thread of hope. Later that night, Alex sat at his desk and opened a notebook. He wrote Holden's name in the corner, then crossed it out. Below that, he wrote, "This is the cost of not knowing yourself." And then he kept writing, about shame, about hunger, about needing to be seen and needing to be forgiven. About Jake's arms, and how safety was never supposed to be boring. About how betrayal can live beside love, but only one can stay. He wrote until the sun crept in through the blinds. 2 weeks later, a knock came at the door. Jake stood there, eyes tired but softer. I've been thinking, he said. About us? Alex asked. Jake nodded. About what we could be if we started over. But slower this time. With boundaries. With honesty. Alex opened the door wider. Come in. Jake did. But he didn't unpack. He didn't kiss him. He just sat on the couch, same spot, and held out his hand. Alex took it. And for the first time in weeks, his breath came easier.